Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for my wife for doing a little panoramic thing before I got stuck in. I thought I'd do something about what I eat as a healer, because there's a lot of talk out there in the spiritual New Age communities about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. And there's a lot of people who say that you shouldn't really be eating meat, as an example, because you're hurting animals and that kind of thing. And in fact, well, let's just put these in first. This is actually Eli Shutbulla. So Eli means moose and shirt is meat and balls. So you can see it's 100% moose, 100% Eli on the packet there. So it's quite easy to get a hold of in the North Sea. I'm just whacking that in there with some butter. Butter being another thing that they try and convince us not to eat. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about what you should and shouldn't eat. And yeah, I don't think there is one easy way of saying what's best to eat and what you shouldn't eat and what you should eat. I don't think it should be the same for everyone. Everyone's different. We've all got different genetics, different backgrounds. So I'll give you my perspective on what I've been through and how I changed and the reasons I changed. So my wife was brought up vegetarian. I was brought up as a carnivore pretty much, with a few bits and bobs here and there, a few different vegetables. I was obviously encouraged to eat vegetables and fruit when I was growing up, but I just liked meat for some reason. And as anyone who's been following my channel knows, I used to be a biochemist, and I was a personal trainer as well, so I did lots of nutrition stuff with my personal training qualifications, and then more nutrition stuff when I did my osteopathy degree, and it's just been a lifelong interest of mine. And as it turns out, my wife, even before I met her, very interested in food and diet and nutrition and health. So we've both spent a lot of our lives studying this sort of thing, reading papers, doing courses. And yeah, and obviously for our lives, both of our lives, we've changed our diets constantly as we've learnt new things, wanted to try new things. And one of the things I will say is that not everything will work for everyone. And one of the most important things is no matter how much research you do and how many courses you do and how much you think you know, testing things is really important, because we're all different. And of course we know that a lot of scientific stuff can be a bit swayed by companies, corporations in one way or another, and by different agendas. That's a story for another day. So, you know, testing things out and testing things out for a long enough time is really important. We both feel for knowing whether something is going to work or not. So, as an example, soon after me and my wife met, we decided to both be vegetarians, and we were verging on veganism, in fact. So very little dairy as well, and felt pretty good to start with. And it wasn't until a few years in that we started to sort of theorise, you know, maybe us feeling better was simply because the diet was cleaner, especially in my case. You know, because we were starting to eat more organically, looking into where the source of our food came from. And yeah, so I felt a bit better to start with, and that sort of reinforced my original belief that, you know, maybe there's a vibrational thing with the food. You know, me not eating any meat meant that it was a higher vibration in some way or another. And yeah, but actually over time, as the years went on, I started to realise actually I have less energy. And I was starting to wonder why I felt like I didn't have enough energy, like I couldn't sort of put on muscle in the gym, I couldn't seem to recover so quickly. You know, I couldn't concentrate so easily with my healing work. There wasn't that sharp focus compared to when I first started healing work. And so we started to, you know, look into other different papers, listen to different people, and came across a lot of people who, came out of veganism, for example. It's a bit of a short end of the story, but basically we, listened to lots of different things, lots of different people, and decided in the end to try meat again. And it was a bit disgusting because we hadn't eaten meat for so long. The smell of, the fat cooking was a bit off-putting to start with. But yeah, we were very quickly happily eating meat again. And the sharpness of the mind came back, the cloudiness started to go. It wasn't a quick thing for me. It was a gradual thing over months that I noticed, I had more energy. It was easier to go to the gym. My recovery from the gym was better. I wasn't so tired at the end of the day from doing healing work. And my wife said that, there was more clarity of mind. There was this cloud. She didn't realise she had a cloud. So those are some of the reasons we started eating meat again. I will do another video, by the way, walking in the wilderness of Sweden, so you can see sort of the environment that the moose and the reindeer are living in, what they eat, and why moose and reindeer meat is so healthy, and that's why we're eating that compared to other things like beef. I'll do another video about that later on, which you can see. And I kind of highlight, I will highlight sort of why it's better to eat wild meat, especially if it's from the wilderness of northern Sweden, for example, compared to some other meats. Maybe another video on why it's not necessarily worse for your environment, like a lot of people think, eating meat over eating vegetables. I'll do that in another video, otherwise this will become a long video. This is moose balls today. We've been eating a lot of moose and reindeer. Let's get it out of the fridge, in fact. So it's quite easy to get a hold of moose and reindeer meat up here in the north of Sweden. So this is, I don't know if you can see that in the light. So this is reindeer mince. So ren is Swedish for reindeer and färs is mince. So you can buy it in packets like this quite easily from the supermarkets in the north of Sweden, at least. Not sure about the south of Sweden. We've been eating a lot of that sort of thing. Lots of different cheeses. And basically a lot of the stuff we eat now is polar opposite to a lot of the big recommendations that the corporations and the health ministries in different countries recommend. So they say, red meat is the worst to eat. Well, actually, we think it's the best. Butter, they say, is bad for you. We use a lot of butter, far, far better than margarine and any of those oily butters.
But that's kind of how my grandparents ate.
Exactly, yes.
They ate real butter, real dairy, real meat.
And they were happy in life, and there wasn't quite so many diseases back in their day.
Well, my grandmother's still alive, 94.
Yeah, exactly. So meat, butter is a good example. What are some of the other things we eat that they say we shouldn't? That they've been going on about eggs.
Yeah.
I remember through the
eggs
80s
and cholesterol.
And 90s, when they talk about cholesterol, and there was that big scare in the UK. I'm not sure if it happened in other countries about a particular bacteria being in eggs. So over the years they've tried to demonise a lot.
Is it salmonella? No.
Salmonella. Yeah. So they've tried to demonise a lot of foods that are actually the best for us and try and make it look like it's unhealthy. When you think of an egg, it's got all the ingredients to make a life, a whole living thing in that egg. It's got all the ingredients.
Well, if you think
Why
of
would
choline,
an egg contain something that would be harmful for you? It's ridiculous.
Well, it's like choline that you need for DNA formation. No source is better than an egg.
Exactly. And then meat, that's much closer to what our body is like than a vegetable, for example. This has got all the stuff that our cells contain in this. And red meat happens to contain, meats are the only source of retinol. It's a form of vitamin A. You can probably go on the internet and search for retinol sources, and some websites will show vegetables, but that's false because it's a different form of vitamin A. It's not actually retinol.
It's only meat and dairy, isn't it?
It's only meat and dairy, yeah. So a lot of people like me, I suspect, who struggle to convert things like beta-carotene and other types of carotenes into retinol, you're probably not going to have much energy in your body if you only eat vegetables. So everyone's different, like I say. I think, some parts of the world where, there's been many generations where they've eaten vegetables only might do better. But
Well, what I learnt was 40% of Caucasians, roughly, can't convert beta carotene from like carrots into active vitamin A.
yeah. And then there's the whole copper thing, so ceruloplasmin, that kind of thing, which I've talked about on my website as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can talk about. There's a lot of science behind it. And of course, genetics comes into it because some people may have more genes active, so they can digest certain things better than other people. So yeah, it's not as clear-cut diet as people say. But I do tend to find that, like what I said, a lot of the things they've demonised tend to be the healthier stuff. Also very interesting, this is something my wife pointed out, was that, and this isn't the case for all foods, but generally speaking, things that are really healthy for you and taste nice tend to be very, very expensive. So things like blueberries, for example, a lot of the really nice berries that you could buy in stalls tend to be ridiculous price to buy them. Things that are good for you but maybe not taste quite as nice tend to be a bit cheaper, and then the things that are the worst for you tend to be the cheapest, your chocolates and your chips and all of those sorts of things. There are exceptions obviously, but generally speaking, that's quite interesting, isn't it, that in a lot of Western countries that's the case. So steaks, things like that, pretty expensive these days. Yeah. So yeah, I'll swap to a shot of us when this meal is finished, because it doesn't cooked yet. We're cooking these from frozen. So I'll see you in a bit. So here is our meal for this evening. Typical of what we eat, and no word of a lie, this is very typical of what we eat. We do eat very healthy, so we've got some moose meatballs, we've got some bell peppers, avocado, rocket, some grated carrots in there, olive oil sprinkled over it, and some salt, of course. Salt I'll talk about another time because it's very, very interesting, the spiritual perspective on salt, and why table salt isn't the same as the salt we use. We use sea salt, so that's another video we'll do. But yeah, very typical for what we eat, because we value our bodies, and all spiritual practices are built from you having a physical body. This is your experience through the physical body, so we've got to look after it. And yeah, if you want to see more of what we eat, have a look at my wife's Instagram account. Literally, that's what we eat. If you see all the different meals on my wife's Instagram account, that is literally what we eat each day. So, and she's got some fantastic stuff on her channel of the reasons why, lots of scientific studies, if you really want to delve deeper. So I'll put a link to that underneath this video. Okay, so I hope this has been interesting, looking at what I eat. I'll do more details another time if people are interested. Please do like and subscribe if you'd like to support this channel, and I will see you again next time.